Hello everyone, and welcome to Trimble Penmap for Android. We're going to be discussing Trimble Penmap today, but before we start, I'd like to go through a couple of housekeeping items. The first is that this is a large conference call with a lot of people on it, so everybody is on mute. If you do want to ask a question, that's great. You can do that using the Question Center in your application that's in front of you. So don't hesitate. If you have questions, poke them in there. I will try to get those questions handed over and get them answered during the course of the presentation if we can. If we can't, we'll try to answer those afterwards. Okay, so my name is Eric Hall. I'm a market manager here at Trimble. I've been doing this kind of work for quite a long time. My expertise is with the field software and the field data collection. The data collectors. Jeff?
Hi, my name is Jeff Blanton. I am the product manager for Penmap for Android. Prior to joining Trimble, I spent 23 years in the field and in the office as a surveyor. Over those 23 years, I also did a tremendous amount of GIS work, and I spent just under 20 years at Wolpert.
Okay, excellent. So what we are talking about today is Trimble Penmap. It is it's a relatively new application for us in the geospatial space. It's a cloud-connected application, and what we mean by that is it stores data up on the cloud, on the internet, and it's secure storage in what we call Trimble Connect, which is our cloud solution across Trimble. And that gives your data the ability to share your data and dynamically move it around. And the application is designed for surveying and survey-grade GIS data collection, and I'll go into a little bit of detail about what that is here in a minute. It is what we're calling a crossover product, so that's a little bit new. So it does provide essential survey functionality, and what I mean by that, you have the ability to set up with a receiver, go ahead and measure a point as you normally would with an RTK survey. You'd be able to put a description in, store that point, move on to the next one. You'd be able to automatically generate line work as you collect points and move around. You can enter a point name from a CSV file that you have in the project and go ahead and go stake that point. So that essential survey functionality is there. It also provides integrated feature and feature attribution capabilities. So with any point that you can collect out in the field, we have the Penmap Project Manager in the office where you can set up a schema and set up a data collection platform, move that out to the field, and then be able to collect features and attributes based on your needs. It is all based around an interactive and map-centric interface, so it makes using the product quite easy. All the controls are right in front of you. You can see where you are on the screen. You can see the lines progress. You can see the map on the screen pretty much all the time. It is Android-based. That's good. That means you can have a fairly wide choice of off-the-shelf products, whether they're smartphones or tablets, or you can use a dedicated data collector, something like the Trimble TDC 100. Penmap does support Trimble Catalyst, which is our software-based GNSS receiver, and towards the end of the presentation I'll talk a little bit more about what that is and what that means, but for now it's a receiver that's capable of doing accurate positions all the way up through more GIS grade positions. It's also Penmap is also compatible with existing Trimble R-Series GNSS receivers, making it a very flexible platform. Okay. So Penmap, we call it a crossover product. I'm going to explain a little bit what we mean by that and how we expect it to be used. We would see it being used in a number of different marketplaces by a number of different customer types. It does do surveying applications, like I just mentioned, and it does do GIS applications. However, Trimble's a large company. We have many different types of products. For your pure surveying, the full-featured, powerful system, you would want to look at something like Trimble Access, where you can do everything from create a road and do road layout, DTM stakeout, topography, all the normal types of data collection using total stations and GNSS receivers. It's the full-featured product and always will be for Trimble. And also example on the other side of the spectrum in the GIS space, we have Trimble TerraFlex, which is again a full-featured GIS data collection platform with the ability to create your own forms and deploy those to the field and have a structured workflow for your field workers. Again, working on Android type platforms and other types of platforms as well. So Penmap falls somewhere in the middle, and I'll kind of explain it as we go. Yeah, I think one of the things that's important about this, I can be doing one type of job in the field, and then easily and seamlessly switch to another type of job as the situation demands. So if you're out picking up, for example, some features and attributes for an as-built for a new power line system or something, and the boss calls up and says, "Hey, we didn't get enough topo data in this area where you're at. Can you go over there and pick up some topo points for us?" It's very easy to switch over to doing that. And part of the reason it's easy is that the data types that we support are typical data formats that surveyors use, and then also typical data formats used in GIS systems. The survey and GIS workflows are complementary, and what I mean by that is that it's easy to switch in midstream and go from one to the other. So, for example, you collect a point, it's very easy just to enter a typical descriptor for that point and then move on to the next measurement. Or you can go ahead after you collect the point. You can select to go ahead and add a feature with attributes, and that's all built in right to the interface. You don't really have to change anything. You just tap a different button and go. So that's what I mean. It's complementary. It doesn't. The two workflows don't get in each other's way. They work together seamlessly. And then also, what we mean by a crossover product, it provides you, the business owner, some efficiency and flexibility. So not every job requires a full survey setup and kit to get it done. There's nothing that's going to ever replace the full-on survey gear for doing that type of survey work. But with Penmap and the systems that we have here, it provides you a nice tool to fit into certain situations where you don't need that full kit or that fully trained surveyor to get the job done. Okay. So the types of people that we see using Penmap today, they're on this list. That doesn't mean that Penmap is specifically designed for, like, let's say, landscapers. It's really not. I mean, it's designed for people to use in the field to collect data. And because it is intuitive and fairly easy to use, it's okay for somebody like a landscaper who needs to potentially go out and stake out where they need things, or to map what they've already built up and store that in an efficient manner. But for example, somebody like a surveyor who, let's say a survey manager's in the office and they get a call from the crew in the field, and the crew says, "Hey, we've got some work done out here, but there's part of it we're not 100% sure about because we had some missing data. Can you come out and check?" Great. So you go ahead and grab Penmap on your Android phone, run on out there with that old R4 that's sitting around the building that you hadn't used for a while because you replaced it. Go out there and do some checks, confirm that they did the job right, and sign off on it without tying up your expensive equipment that should be out doing making more money for you. So that's kind of an example of the types of people that will be we're expecting to use this product in the future. So, okay, next slide, Jeff. Yeah, by the way, Jeff's running the slides for me here. It's just the magic of technology. He's sitting in Colorado. I'm sitting in Oregon while we're doing this. So, yeah, technology for the win, I think. So flexibility and GNSS options. So Penmap does work with a variety of different receiver type options. The first is very simple. You can use it with the internal phone. And just from your phone or tablet, you can just use that receiver. You can also use a GIS grade receiver, something like the Trimble R1, for example. It also works very nicely, like with that Catalyst system that I mentioned before, so subscription-based GNSS receiver. And then obviously with the Trimble R series GNSS receivers, it works seamlessly with those as well. Okay, so now I'm going to hand it off to Jeff, and he's going to go ahead and do the live demonstration. If you do have questions, go ahead and type them in, and I'll try to sort through them and hand them to Jeff when we can.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Just a couple couple items. I'm only going to show a couple of slides, and then I'm going to get into the live demonstration of how Penmap works. As Eric mentioned, Penmap kind of lives somewhere in between your full survey package and your full GIS package. As in my previous life, when I was surveying, and I did a lot of mapping for military bases, municipalities, universities, I always needed some way of getting the survey data to GIS or the GIS data to the survey. It was such very painful, multiple softwares to make all the transformations, and then some editing, and just all kinds of room for human error. So when my boss approached me about managing Penmap, I was really excited to take this on and help build this into a software that I was needing in my previous experience. So with that, I'll move on. With Penmap, you do get Trimble Connect, which is the cloud sharing platform that Eric mentioned before. You also get this Penmap Project Manager. This is a desktop application where you create your project, set your coordinate system, add your team members, and import any background information or source data that you might want to use, such as CSV, CAD drawings, or shape files. And then, of course, you get Penmap, the Android application, and you can go to the Google Play Store and download that. So with that, I'll get into the demonstration here, and I'm gonna start with the application and then kind of work my way backwards to the desktop part and the Office side of things. So this is Penmap. I'm actually using a TDC 100 right here in the office right now. I do want to point out, if you are interested in working with Penmap or just trying it out, you can download it from the Play Store. Just search Penmap and install it on your Android device. And we have this Penmap Freemium. If you select that button, it gives you full access to Penmap and all its functionality. The only things you cannot do are connect to an external antenna. You can use the internal GPS of the Android device, and you cannot upload, download data either with the freemium version. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in here. Also, I'm going to try something new, so keeping my fingers crossed that this works for me. In this demo, I haven't done before. My screen is
one of the questions we had come in just now was we mentioned it's cloud-based. The question is, does it work offline?
There we go. I don't know why I didn't keep up with my phone. You can work offline. You would need to start Penmap while you're in a service area to log in. And once you've opened up Penmap and opened your map, it will cache your map for you, and you can log in at that point. The difficult part with that is if you're using a VRS network, you're going to have some kind of service for your VRS network. But outside of that, you could use the internal GPS if you're okay with that accuracy to collect points. Since my screen didn't refresh for some reason when I logged in there, you missed what happened. Once you log in to Penmap, it automatically syncs to the cloud. It does not automatically push data up or pull data down. It just compares what's on the cloud to what's on your device. And you'll see here, this is a project I've worked on in the field. It's saying that I'm ready I can upload that when I'm ready. I would just simply touch and hold on the project itself. A menu box pops up, and I would hit the upload button. And that would upload this project to the cloud, send an alert to the other team members who are in the office that a project has been uploaded and ready for their review. Down here, with the arrow pointing down, this is a project I set up in the office, and it's available for me to download and start working on right now. And again, once I set a project up in the office, it sends out an email to the person you assign that to, telling them there's a project ready for them to download. Quickly, I'm going to go through. This is the main page of Penmap. It's your project list. Up in the upper left-hand corner, we do have the menu bar here. When you open that up, if you don't see Trimble Connect in your username here, you're not connected to the cloud. And what you would want to do is tap on that. It's going to bring up a menu box. You're going to choose your provider there, Trimble Connect, enter in your username and password, and hit OK. And then you'll be connected to the cloud. This should automatically happen when you log in to Penmap. You shouldn't have to do this step. There has been a time or two that it didn't do that for whatever reason, and the user had to go in and enter their information. So since I closed that out, pretty much anytime you open and close a project, it automatically syncs to the cloud looking for something different. The one cloud symbol that's missing here is the cloud with the check mark. If it has a check mark, that's telling you it's the exact same on the cloud as on your device. I don't want to sync. I can tap this button up, hit the cloud button up here, and I can either stop or start syncing. A couple other menu items. We have the download templates, which I'll go into a little bit more further down when I get into the project manager part of that. But the templates you create in the office, you can create them here on your phone in the field. If you've created a template in the office, and I know from experience, there's something that's always missed, and the field crew needs to add so if you're using Access, another feature code or to your feature code library, or in a GIS to your data dictionary or something like that. So if you create it in the office, you hit download templates. It's going to go search the cloud for anything new. It's going to bring down any new templates down to your device, and vice versa. If you created some new features in your template in the field, it will upload that template and overwrite the one on the cloud with your new features. Underneath the general, this is where we will have our languages, units. We have the full range of meters and feet here, and your Trimble geodetic library. Penmap does support the Trimble geodetic library, so you are able to pick your state plane zone if that's what you're using, or whatever coordinate system that you're currently working in. A couple other menu items here. Underneath the help, if you click the help, it actually launches a browser page where with all the help items categorized, you can search through the help items. It's very nice to have that out in the field. And with that, I'll go back into the project. So also, I don't have to create a project in the office. I can create one on the fly in the field if I want, or if the need requires that. So I'll select a project, create a project. I'll just call it Topo. Here, I would choose the templates. So if I have a number of templates set up, they all would be listed here for me. And Penmap comes with two default templates. The example and the quick start here. I'm going to use this example for this demo. I'm going to hit next, and then we're going to set up our coordinate system at this point. As I mentioned, we have the full range of Trimble's coordinate system. Geodetic library. This is the show all coordinate systems, which I had to turn off just to limit it. But if I wanted to see all of them, they are all here. I select my state plane zone, the datum I want to have it in, and then my GOE model. Another feature that Penmap has in it is if I choose a coordinate system that I haven't used before, or a GOE model that I haven't used before, and it's not located on my Android device, once I would hit the next button, I select that, it's going to see that it's not on your device. It's going to ask you if you want to download that. It will go to the cloud and will bring all that information down for you, so it's available for you for this project and projects in the future.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
So when we're creating that job on the fly out there in the field and we select a template, so the question is what are the advantages of using a template?
The template is kind of like your feature code library.
Okay.
I'll talk a little bit more about those. Penmap uses, you have two workflows you can do with Penmap. So if you strictly want to you can either just strictly collect a point name and a code, and that be it, or you can use the iFeatures. iFeatures are kind of like, or they're features, like a GIS feature, such as a manhole, fire hydrant, a power pole, what have you. And you can assign attribution to those features, so that if you collect one of those iFeatures, it's going to bring up your attribution box, and you're going to fill that out. That's the point of the template.
Okay, great. And sorry, great. And then, are there any limitations in the type of Android devices you can use? USB connection types, processor's memory requirements?
With all the testing that we've done, and we do have a blacklist on the web page that shows you all the Android devices that we've tested. Obviously, we can't test every Android device, but it needs to be with the operating system 4.6 or higher. I'm currently running on the CDC 100. I'm running Android 6, and it runs really well. On my Android phone, I have a Galaxy S7. I started with Android 5 when I started with Penmap, and I didn't have any issues running Penmap. The processor worked great. And then now I've upgraded to Android 7 on my phone, and I use Android. Actually, I use it more than the TDC 100 here, and I haven't had any issues. So I would recommend looking at that blacklist and for the devices we have tested.
And that's on the website.
And that is on the website.
Great,
so
thanks.
Moving on. No problem. So the next thing I want to do is, as we mentioned, you can choose your receiver type. If I want to use the Android internal GPS, I would just choose Android here. If I want to use a Trimble receiver, I'm going to use Trimble. And as I mentioned, or Eric mentioned, I think, we do have the full range of R-Series receivers that you can choose from, and the new Catalyst DA1 antenna. I'm going to use the R10. This is the new thing that I'm doing on the live demo, so keep my fingers crossed.
So Jeff, also with that, is there any capability for, the question is about desktop differential correction against the Chorus network? I'm assuming that's using some form of post-processing data.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand that question.
Yeah, I think it's basically asking, can we collect post-process data for post-processing with Penmap?
At this time, we're not bringing down the raw data files from the receivers for post-processing. It is on the roadmap to have that added.
So yeah, there's a couple of workarounds there too. On most of the receivers, you can start a post-process file on the receiver when you start, if you want to do that. But also, I think the important thing about Penmap is that it works with real-time corrections to give you accurate positions in real time. So to a certain extent, it eliminates that need. But obviously, there's not you can't always get those corrections. So yeah, I can understand the question too. So
yeah, absolutely. So the next on the project setup here is your real-time correction. So Penmap allows you to enter in your own VRS network, or if you're using Catalyst, you could just use the VRS Now network, which comes with your Catalyst subscription, which I haven't mentioned. You can use Catalyst with Penmap, but Catalyst is a separate subscription. And so in order to do that, if I want to add a new network, I know in my previous job, I worked pretty much every state in the country. I had a VRS network stored everywhere. It was always a nightmare to find that information, IP address or what have you. So I would just hit the new button, new VRS, select my N-trip. If I had the Catalyst antenna, DA1 antenna, the options would be different here. It would just be the Trimble Correction Hub and or N-trip. And you can use your own VRS with the Catalyst as well. But if you choose the Correction Hub, then there's no more setup required. Beyond that point, just your username and password gets you in. And I would hit go next. I would choose my caster, what country I'm in, enter my IP address port. Penmap and Catalyst are currently only using the RTCM stream. So if you're using it and you're choose CMRX or CMRF Plus, it will not work. And then enter in your username and password. Say OK. I want to not save that. Say OK, and that will be stored for you. You can store as many of those as you want on here, so they're easily available to you. And if something changes, the IP address changes, you can go in and edit that and make the changes that you need and save that.
Okay, we do have another question about that. So he's asking, can other RTX subscription levels be applied?
Yes, they can.
And then I think this might be getting a little bit ahead, but can we perform a no projection, no datum startup? In other words, be able to calibrate to projection coordinate system. So to project system, yeah.
Yes. So Penmap, you can do a site calibration with Penmap, which I'll show you where that's at here in a minute. I obviously can't do a site cal here, but you can import in your CSV with your local 10,000 coordinates and go out in the field, shoot those in. Penmap will perform the site cal for you, and you can then save that and export a PDT file, which is the Penmap file, to share with your crews. The last page on the project setup here in the field is the GNSS quality. So if I'm using my Android device, we have the slider bar here to change your precisions. You can hand change and enter if you don't find what you're looking for here. If you're using your Android device, I'd highly recommend keeping the slider bar over all the way over to the left. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do any work. When you start your GPS, your cursor is going to look like this circle up here, and it's going to be green, yellow, or red. If it's green, you're good to go. If it's yellow, you're close or just over your tolerances, and you're going to get a warning when you take a shot and ask whether you want to accept it or not. It will show you your precisions and your RMS, and you can decide from there if you want to accept it or not. If it's red, it won't even let you take a shot. And then you can change your elevation mask here as well. Once I'm done with that, I have it filled out like I want. I will that's done. The project will open, and once the project's open, the menu bar, there is a number of different menu items here. A couple of important ones here is the display. This is where you can turn on and off your auto scroll, display your points, and choose the map provider that you would like to use as a background map. You can have none or any host of any one of these. I typically prefer to use the Google Maps or the Bing Maps myself. Say OK. And underneath the menu, this is where you can get to your GNSS settings. You can change the quality at this point. Your collection mode, underneath collection mode. So if you're doing some control points, you might want to change how many epochs you collect for those control points. Penmap does also do continuous topo based on time or distance. This is where you would set your distance and time as well. I'll say OK there. You can also get in and change your real-time corrections if you need to, and also your coordinate system. Penmap will not allow you to change your coordinate system once you've collected data. If you haven't collected anything and you set up the project wrong initially, you could go back in there and change it at that point. But once you've collected data, you're stuck with it, or you need to start over. And then again, you get into your GNSS receivers here to change that if you need. One last, this is where I was talking about your eye features. So as the field staff, if they need, the template is missing some water valve that they discovered in the field and it's not covered in your eye features, you could add that here on the fly in the field. I would recommend doing your eye features in the office. It could all be done on the phone if you like. It's just easier to do in the office. And then set your tolerances for your different workflows for the site calibration, your stakeout, and the verify, which I'll touch on all these here in a minute. So Penmap, we have the control. So if you're just simply going out and popping in some control on a job site, or you're running a total station and you need a couple control points, you pull out Penmap, pop in your couple control points to come off of. When you do control, you only have the option to collect a point name and a code. You'll enter those up here. When you're ready to start your GPS, you'll see we have this satellite image here, and under control it defaults to average. That's what these three dots means. You're taking an average position rather than a single position. And anytime you see a button with the triangle right here, that means there's more behind this button. If you touch and hold on that, it opens up another menu box, and then you can get into, you can change how you collect the data. If you want to change the continuous topo, by time or distance. If you want to do single shot and rather than average, this is where you would change that. I'm going to stick with average for control. Check your sky plot out with, I'll show you here in a minute once I start the GPS. And then you can get into those settings that I showed you again from another area. So you can get into your GNSS settings from multiple areas. Let me get out of that. When you're ready to start your GPS, you simply tap on your satellite icon. It's going to ask you what your antenna height is. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to connect to my receiver. And I'm connected. And touch this back up. Oh, I didn't give it enough time.
So a quick question on the entry of the Ntrip server. Can we use a URL there, or is it only just the IP address right now?
I've had 100 requests for this, and
yeah.
it really is high on the priority list to have that available in an upcoming release as soon as possible, because I've learned a lot of VRS organizations, Trimble had just done this. This is how come I discovered it. They're switching to the URL. It makes life easier, so you can just put that in. They can change the IP address all they want, and you don't have to be aware of it or go hunting down a new IP address. It's not available at this time, but it will be.
Awesome, thanks.
So once my GPS is started, it connected to I am connected to an R10 receiver down the hall, and once it launches, the GPS gets a position, it automatically calls into the VRS and goes through the initialization process. This is where I was saying I haven't done this before, and right before this I tried it, and I was initialized and down to centimeter accuracy within 5 seconds. So it almost works. Now, I have a feeling I might know why that's. Let me just change this. Maybe this is why. Let's try this again. So what should have happened here is it would have automatically, or within seconds, when I'm using an R10 or an R series receiver, I initialize within 10 seconds. When I'm use the Catalyst, the A1 antenna, it's maybe 30 seconds. Maybe somebody down the hall is messing with my antenna. So we're up and running. So at this point, if I want to collect a point, I would just simply tap on the satellite icon, and my point, once I achieve my epics or accuracy that I'm looking for, the position would be stored right there. So I'm going to go back to the topo workflow. Underneath topo, you see we have that button again. There's something more behind there. So if I touch and hold on that topo button, it changes the symbol to adds a 1, 2, 3 to it. If I open that up, then I'm strictly just going to collect a point name and a code. If I have a code list, so if and at this point I could export from Penmap a CSV file to import into TVC. I could process my feature codes and get the line work and symbologies like I would expect from Trimble Access. If I go back to this, turn the 1, 2, 3 off, and open up the topo, you'll see I have my eye features right here. I'll touch and hold on that, open up my eye feature box. We call these, you'll see in the project manager, we call these pages. It's a way to categorize your features. So for this example, we just have these few here. It just makes things easier for your field crews to find what they're trying to collect in the field rather than hunting through a really long list. I'm going to collect a tree here. Since my cursor is red, I can actually take a GPS shot inside here. but we do have the ability to digitize. With the free node here, I can digitize a point. So whatever eye feature you've selected will be displayed at the top right-hand corner in gray color. That is the feature you're collecting. If I collect multiple features, they'll all start stacking right here. Whatever one is the one at the top is the one that you're collecting. So I want to digitize this tree right here. Once I've done that, there is a GIS associated with that. I would go in and fill out my attribution like I would normally. Fill that out. I don't need to fill all those out, but I do want to point out you can add a attribute of a photo. So if you want to take a photo of a manhole or a tree or a fire hydrant or whatever you're collecting, you can add that into your schema. Select on the photo button. It's going to launch your camera, take the photo, and store it. Find the picture, and then that photo will be stored here on your exports, and you will have a link in your shapefile. So that's a point eye feature. So if I come in here and I want to do a utility, let's say a gas line, and I know a lot of time when I was mapping, I did a lot of mapping of sewers, sanitary sewers, storm sewers, and I collected the manhole. And then I would need to draw the pipe and collect attribution on the pipe from one manhole to the next. And I want that pipeline or that line to start from my manhole. Penmap does have a snap mode, so I can select that snap mode. And again, you can see I have the eye feature. It's up top, gray. That's the one I'm collecting, and it is a line feature. And I know this. This symbology here changes. It looks like a target with a play button. That means that's telling me that I am starting a line. I haven't started it yet. And then this symbol here shows that I'm collecting a polyline. If I tap on this, I can change that line. I can collect a curve or an arc if I want. If I'm drawing out a curve or an island or of some sort, I could draw a nice smooth curve in the field rather than a bunch of hard vertices. Then we have the ability to collect circles and squares based on a radius, 2, 3 points. That's pretty flexible. I'm not going to demo that right now. I'm just going to stick with the polyline. So I'm in the snap mode. Oops, turn that off. Snap mode, and then I want to snap to that point. My symbol up here changes to an open polyline. So this is telling me that I have a line that I'm running at this point. And I can snap that. Switch this free node. Pop that line in here. And continue on until I'm done with that line. If I was going from one manhole to the other, I would have ended it at the first point. When I want to end the line, I just simply tap on the line itself. This line actually has some attribution associated with it. I would fill this attribute list out here, say OK. And as I mentioned, as I'm going through the eye features and collecting my features, they're going to continue to stack over here. If those get annoying, if I tap on this, that's the thing with Android I've discovered is there's the touch and hold and there's tap. So if I tap on it, it's going to bring up another menu item, and I can remove the ones I don't want or remove them all if they start taking up real estate. Another feature of Penmap is we do have some Kogo routines in here. Underneath the topo button as well. I'll quickly demo this, just the chain and offset, but there are a number there that you can run through to create points and lines. And remember, whatever your whatever Kogo command you run and whatever eye features at top, that's what you're going to store when you create a new point. If it was a line feature, it would start a new line for you until you finish that. So I'm just going to do this chain and offset. I'm going to choose my first reference point, number 1. My second reference point here, the chain is going to be the distance from the first reference point along that line. I don't know how long that line is. I'm going to say 150 meters. And then you can see this is where along the line. So for example, if I have something under an overhang or in some canopy that I can't get my GPS into, but I'm good enough with the measure taped off position, then I would use this chain and offset. The offset is negative is left, positive is right. I will just do 50-foot off, 50-meter offset. Select that. You're going to see where your position's at. If you're comfortable with that, select OK. Puts the tree there and brings up the attribution list. I'm going to get out of it. So like I said, there's a number of these routines. This construction routine here is really nice. It really helps. You can draw lines to intersect in many different ways to create points on the fly in the field. And then you can also enter in your hand enter in coordinates if you have your grid coordinates or your lat longs.
So Jeff, can you take multiple photos per iFeature?
I think the maximum is, and I could be wrong on this, 3. After that, we had some issues with that a while back, so I could be wrong. It could be cleaned up now, and we can do multiples. I'll confirm that for you, and then send that out with the the answers to the questions that we get here. And then I'm going to back out of this project right now and open up a couple because I'm already running out of time. I'll go ahead and shut down my receiver. So I went ahead and set up a number of projects for this demo. You can see I'm syncing. Once I close that project, I don't have to wait for this thing to be over to open up another project. I just wanted to show a few of these. So this project here, the control checks one, I created. I used a CSV of control points around the office. So there's my map. I could use these to do the site calibration, which I did not meant. I apologize for that. I meant to show you where that was at. So underneath the GNS, touch and hold, bring up that menu I brought up. Then we have the site calibration option here. I would select calibrate point, select the point I want to calibrate to, choose whether I want 3D, 2D, 1D. It's going to give me my coordinates, my grid coordinates here of that point. I'll say OK, and then if my GPS was started, I would take a shot on that. Once I've collected the points that I wanted to include in the site calibration, I would check my results. If I'm happy with those, I would accept it. And then I could save this. And as I mentioned, you could export this project out as a PDT file to share with your other crews. And going back, hopefully that answered your site calibration, the question that we had there. I want to go back now in the stakeout. So, or if I have a CSV of some points I need to go out and stake in the field, I would just go into my staking workflow, select stake point, select, it asks me to choose a target. I choose that target. This is getting annoying. I'm going to change that back so I can maybe use some GPS. We'll see how this goes. In the interior room in the building, so even the internal GPS might not work so good. So what happens when I go and stake a point? Let me get back into that. What would happen? I would have a distance here where I'm standing with an arrow pointing in the direction I need to go, and as I get closer, it zooms in to the point. It's a little more fine-tuned, and a box shows up on the left-hand side that shows you your the directions to guide you into the point, and gives you your cuts and fills for vertical as well. So this is a project I imported CSVs with. Let me close this one out. This project, the curb staking project here, this is from a DXF drawing. I go outside and test a lot, and I miss some of my survey days, so I go out and I've done a topo of our building here. So this is a CAD drawing that I brought into Penmap. Within this CAD drawing, I can go in, if I touch and hold on a point or a line, I can look at the records, the coordinates of that, If you're too zoomed too far out, it's going to ask you to pick the right point. It's going to give you whatever information is associated with that point. There's not a whole lot with this one here because it's from a CAD drawing. But I could use this. I can update those coordinates on that if I need to, or I can start new lines from this CAD drawing as well. One more I want to show, and then I'll try and get. Since I'm running out of time, we'll get to the office. So this is a project that was actually done in Maryland for our airport, for this road construction here. This is shapefiles that I use to import in. If I touch and hold on one of these, again, I can edit the record, but with the shapefile, I can add a GIS record to this. So if I have the template already in here, I have a number of GIS schemas. If I choose to edit GIS record, I can go in and change that record. If I have a point with no GIS to it, it will say add GIS record, and then I can go in and choose whatever GIS schema I want to associate with that point that is part of the shapefile here, and then fill out those attribution to that. I just really want to show that how you can import in these files. And what I didn't mention earlier when I started was we pushed out a new release of Penmap this morning, an updated version of Penmap this morning, and the new features are feet support and international feet support, and there's a couple different CSV formats that you can import or export. That is available on the Play Store today and the website. So I am going to open up the Penmap, the project manager, and I'll try and go through this as quickly as I can. So this is the Penmap project manager, and when I'm in the office, this is what I'm going to use 99% of the time. Everything that you do, anything you do in the Penmap project manager automatically is stored in Connect. So if all my source files that I import in are stored in Connect on the cloud. Any template I create is stored in Connect, and I can always go back into Connect, share those with my other team members, or move across projects. So what you're looking at here is the first thing that happens when you open the project manager or you log into it. You're going to see the first page is the Trimble Connect projects. This really should say Trimble Connect project folders. What you're doing is you're creating a folder to store all your different projects in the cloud. So this is what it would look like. When you first open it, you would give the folder a name, a description if you like. Choose, depending on where you're sitting, what server you would like to have your data stored on, North America, Europe, or Asia. I'm going to cancel out of that. And then we also have the settings here from the main page. This is where you can add your team members. So if they have a Trimble ID already, you just simply put in their email address. They'll get an email saying, hey, you've been added to this project team. Or if they don't have a Trimble ID already, you would just fill out their name and email address. They'll receive an email as well, inviting them to create their Trimble ID and be part of the team. Here, this is where we have the templates. So here's a couple I've created here. I can create one from scratch. I want to edit this one that I've already started. The first thing that pops up is these eye features. I usually like to start with my schema if I have a client who has given me a data dictionary to work from, or a GIS schema, depending on the terminology you like to use. This is where I would like to start. So what you're looking at here, is your GIS schema editor. So what I've done here is I can add a feature. So if I want to add a new feature to this, just say sanitary manhole, choose whether it's a point, line, or polygon. Make that a point. Once I have that over here, I can add fields to that. I'm going to add the field, select this add field button. give it a name. I'm just say type of manhole. I want to choose text. Now we do have a range. You can do text, integers, decimals, automatic collections such as the date and time, and the photo button, like I mentioned earlier. I'm going to say OK. Those familiar with shapefiles don't allow domains or pick lists, but the Penmap will allow you to add a pick list to your text. So if I want to add a pick list, I would come down here, and we'll just do main service. How about gravity? Add that. So then this list will be available to your crew, so they don't have to type it in every single time in the field. Also, I'm trying to get through this quickly. We have the water lines. I can add water lines, line features, so I can add a line, choose a line, add attributions to that as well. Once I've finished with this, I would save it, exit out of here, open back up my iFeature editor. Then this is where I would add my iFeatures. So I'll add that new one I just did. Okay, manhole. And then this is what the pages I was talking about. So I could add a new page and put everything that has to do with sanitary underneath the sanitary page. I choose whether it's a point, line, or polygon. If I choose point, and then come over to the GIS section, it's only going to list my GIS schemas that I set up as points. Here's the sanitary manhole I just did. You're going to want to choose whether you want the graphic to be a point or a text. Choose a layer. You have to choose a layer. You don't have to add layers, so I usually just go with default, and then choose the point style that you want. We have a few different point styles to choose from here. Save that and say OK. And then once that's done, this is available for me when I want to create projects. One last thing I want to show on this. I can, if I have existing shapefiles that were provided to a client by a client to me, I can go into the schema here and create the schema, select file, create from DBF files, and you browse to where your shapefiles are. It's only going to show you the DBFs associated with that. Select the ones that you want to use. It automatically brings us in, reads the features, reads the your attribution that goes along with those features. The one thing, like I mentioned, you can't have pick lists and shapefiles. So if you want to have a pick list for your field crews, you would have to go back into the text, the material here, and provide a list of the materials for your field crews to choose from in the field. It helps eliminate some human error. So I'm going to back out of this. I don't want to say that. Go back into the project manager. Cancel that. So so that's the settings. So this is my project folder in Connect. I'm going to open up this folder. This is where all my projects are saved. As you see, these are the same ones that were on my phone when I synced. This Maryland project here is the status completed. Once I've finished in the field, I've uploaded it to the cloud. My status changes to completed, and my download button is available for me to export out my CSV, my shapefile, or my PDT file. Once you created the project in the office and your field staff has downloaded that project, your status changes to in progress, and your download is grayed out, so you can't get into that project and do anything before the field staff is finished. And then when you create a new project, it says new, and the same thing with the download button. Once you create a project in the project manager, it sends an email alert out to your team members. So I'll go ahead and create a project. Be real fancy with my names. I'm going to choose the water template. Say go through the pages here. Choose my coordinate system, and this is where this is new as of today. Where I would bring in my source data, so I can browse to my source data. I can import in CAD drawings, the DWG, DXF, CSV files, and shape files. Shape files must be in a zip file though, when you import those in. I'm not going to do that in the effort of time. This is the new part I'm talking about. So if your CAD drawing's in feet, you would want to change that to your horizontal and vertical units to feet, so it reads it properly when it processes the information. Since I didn't bring one in, I'm warned that I don't have any source data, which I'm fine with. And then we're at the last page. So all the people in your organization that have a Trimble ID will be listed over here, and then you can just pick who you want to work on that project. You just simply add them to the project, submit it. It processes the information, creates the PDT file, and then sends out the email alert that your project is ready for you. And then quickly, like I said, this is Trimble Connect. Here's that project folder I was telling you about. If I open up that folder, over here on the left we have the Penmap. All your templates are stored underneath here. And if I open up the Penmap folder, all those projects are stored here as well. And I can't remember which one was completed. Was it this one? So everything is stored here. Your PDT file is created, the zip file of shapes that I use to import, and then if I did an export at the end, your exports are going to be stored here under the results screen. Whew. So that is the nuts and bolts of Penmap, and there's quite a bit I wasn't even able to get to with our time. So I'm going to switch back to the slides here, Eric, for you.
Excellent.
And I don't know if we're trying to get through these, and I don't know how much time will be left for questions.
Yeah, we'll try to get through these slides real quickly because the questions are probably more important. We only have, I think, a couple there that aren't answered yet. So, we talked about Trimble Connect a couple different times in here, and this is the Trimble's cloud system for geodata and many other types of data. It provides, the storage that we're talking about. It has a whole lot of tools that are associated with it. You can see some of them on the website as Jeff was showing it to you. And it can be treated like a shared drive. One of the cool things about Connect is it has a whole bunch of tools in it for viewing data of different types and converting data of different types into other formats and such. So it's a useful product unto itself, but it's also that cloud storage. Most of what we do with Penmap and the Penmap project manager in the office is fully integrated already. It's integrated into the workflows, as you saw. The data is synchronized automatically, and so it's mostly automagic, as we would say, in this system. You don't necessarily have to always go out to the Trimble Connect interface on the web to do anything, since it's integrated into the product. So it's a great tool for sharing and collaboration, and it's something that's available separately as well within the Trimble portfolio. So if that's something of interest, go ahead and take a look at it. It's connect.trimble.com for that. So, okay, Jeff, next slide. And then what is Trimble Catalyst? We mentioned this early on. It is a full-on GNSS receiver. The thing that's different about it is it's software-based instead of hardware-based. So the receiver itself is actually all software, and it runs on your Android device separately. And all you need then is a low-cost, lightweight, what we could almost call a dumb antenna to be able to get accurate positions out of it. Catalyst comes with various options for subscriptions for corrections of various types through all of our RTX formats, through the Trimble Correction Hub, which would give you access to full-on VRS RTK capability, and as Jeff said, with Penmap, you can also configure it all up to run with a local VRS system, and that would also work with Catalyst. It is enabled through a subscription, so the receiver is itself available through a subscription, as are the correction services. So you can do a month-by-month type of payment if you want to. It's great for short-term projects or for seasonal work, especially with something like Penmap, where you're potentially sending out summer crews to go do certain types of work. Catalyst becomes a great option for a receiver at that point. All right, next slide. So. Go, Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Eric. So if you want to learn more about Penmap, you can visit geospatialtrimble.com and search Penmap, or go under Products and Solutions, Field Solutions, and you can. There's a host of things on the website. There's some how-to videos, downloads for the project manager, some help documentations, and a system overview document there that you can read over. And also, if you're interested in providing feedback, then send me an email or request to be added to the Penmap community at the community.trimble.com. This is where people who are using Penmap, the developers, myself, are on there, posting comments, asking questions, kind of just sharing some information like that. So if you're interested in that, go there and request to be added as a member, and I'll add you to that. Penmap is in its infancy and just beginning, and I see great things in the future with it as we grow and gather this feedback to apply.
Okay, so there was one question that popped up. Is Catalyst still use a wire connection? Yes, it does, to the antenna. So it uses a USB connection to the antenna, which provides power and communication to the antenna. So here's our email addresses, Jeff's and mine. So if you guys, after listening to the presentations today and watching Penmap in action, if you feel that Penmap is the tool for you, that's great. What I'd like to hear from you is why that's the case and the kind of work that you're doing. That would greatly help us. On the other hand, if you've watched this and decided that Penmap may not be the right tool for you, that's okay. Again, please email us and let us know the kind of work that you're doing and why you think that Penmap maybe isn't a great solution for you. And then we can also then at that point, if there is a Trimble solution that might match up better for you, we could recommend that. But we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear the kind of work that you're doing and the kind of interest you're having in Penmap. Jeff, there is one other question out there. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at it. I'm not sure I can decipher it.
I can't. I don't have access. I can't see the questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, is there any connection or export to ESRI file? I think it's geodatabase feature classes like you have in Pathfinder Office.
At this point, like I mentioned, Penmap's in its infancy, so we're just using shapefiles. There isn't a live connection to an enterprise geodatabase or any kind of geodatabase. I think that might answer the question.
Okay. All right. Well, if you guys have
feedback, I want.
Yep. So if you do have additional questions or feedback or requests for features, all that kind of stuff, great. Please send them in via the email. We'd love to hear from you. That any input you provide helps us provide a better product to you in the end. So that concludes our presentation for today. I want to thank you all for coming. We appreciate that you're all very, very busy and spending time during the day listening to something like that, like this presentation is something that we understand is difficult for you. So we really do appreciate you spending the time with us today. If you do have follow-on questions, please feel free to email us. And with that, we'll go ahead and close the presentation. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, thank you for your time.